It's been a while, and I'm sort of back. Right, this one. I'll be talking about the X-Files comics. I think last time I did a first impression of the season 10 X-Files comics. So I finally had a chance to finish the first arc of that story. So I'll do sort of like these are just my thoughts on this first arc of the season 10 for X-Files. Uh yeah, because before I just did like a first impression. So this one, it's not really a review. There's gonna be a lot of spoilers. Well, some spoilers. I don't know, I haven't quite decided yet, so it's sort of on the fly. I've got some notes written down, just some of my thoughts. So what? Okay, just sort of like a recap. The story. We sort of fast forward a few years after the last event of the series, the TV series of the X Files, and Mulder and Scully are under different names. Scully is working as a doctor. Mulder, I think, he's like a writer. And yeah, it's Chris Carter, the original creator of the series, is involved in some capacity. So I think he probably had some input into the story of how things, I don't know, the overall arc and things like that. Yeah, it's interesting. You get to see a lot of the other characters come back. Uh, there's some things where I'm scratching my head at, but yeah, the story is essentially, it's I think it's tied in with the whole alien UFO mythology, but they've introduced a new alien, but which is somehow related. I think I'm not sure if this is a problem or not. It it does reflect on how the original series was in terms of convoluted plot lines. So that can be a bad thing, or that can be a good thing. It depends on where you stand. Some people don't mind it, and it just says, "Oh, it's an X-File thing. That's fine." Some people say, "Oh, it's one of those. Let's make it up." Just typical make it up as they go along X-File stories. There wasn't anything like this sort of idea back then, with long story arcs and UFO aliens invading Earth, with this level of writing, directing, storytelling. Yes, it does have its problem in terms of how things are not connected, and it's all over the place and it's convoluted, as I was saying before. But in a way, it was good because I think it sort of set up a new wave of storytelling for this sort of genre anyway. But in terms of the comic, I sort of wanted them to tighten up the storytelling a bit more. They left a lot of things hanging to the sides, so I wanted a bit of more resolution, tighter storytelling. And I have a feeling that they might revisit this again, some part of the plot line. So what was I? I'm all over the place, by the way, because I didn't really plan this out properly, unlike my previous sort of video slash podcast slash audio log type thing on the X File comics. Yeah, the story is about where do I even begin with this? Yeah, we have a little kid that's missing, a kid that Scully's looking after. Oh, and Scully has a kid of her own, and she gave it up for adoption as well. That's a big spoiler right there. And the her kid is also taken or hidden. It's not quite clear because I think the kid might be hidden because the aliens were trying to look for the kid. So we've got this. I I have a little bit of a problem where um storylines, they try to use the so-called magical child. The woman is impregnated with a magical child. We've seen stories like that before in other, other shows like Angel. Remember Angel and Buffy? Well, actually, I think it was Cordelia. Yeah, that had the magical baby, if I'm not mistaken. And then some other episodes, Star Trek had that as well. I think Deanna Troi had. It's not really magical baby. You know what I mean? And Scully sort of has that as well. I haven't rewatched the series, so I remember her getting impregnated, some sort of experiment. But on the other hand, I'm glad they didn't sort of swept that away. They brought that back as part of the whole story. So it's a give and take. You've got it's a magic child thing, a special child. Well, we don't know if the child's special or not, but the child plays a role in this story, in this arc of season 10 comic, and these aliens are looking for the kids. So these aliens, they are different from all the other aliens from the series, but at the same time, there is some sort of connection between them. It's pretty funny that Scully was trying to find out what sort of alien, like she confronted one of them because they tried to kidnap her, and the alien, and she rattled out a bunch of names. Are you Jeremiah Smith? Are you one of those hybrid alien clones? I felt it was somewhat funny when she started rattling out all those names, because I don't remember her actually them specifically saying some of those names before. I just thought it was quite funny when she started doing that. The way that her character's drawn, her likeness, they sort of capture it. It's not photorealistic. It's not one of those type of art style. But I think they sort of capture her fairly well. I mean, some people might think there's some consistency issues with some of the drawings that seem to do the job for me. And same thing with Mulder. I feel that the creator or the creators, the artists, and the writers that did the dialogues, I feel that they've managed to bring his essence of Mulder. I know the actor portrayed him in a way that, how actors, they might put their own spin to the characters. In this case, I feel maybe it is the closest to how Mulder might be like, if that makes sense. He seems a little bit more lighter in terms of his character, but there is a scene where, this is not a spoiler, the smoking man appears, or the lung cancer man, a Marlboro man. He had several names. And we all know what happened to him, and Mulder was saying that as well. He says the last time he saw him, he was smoking a cigarette through a hole in his throat, and then he was getting blasted away. And we still don't quite know what the smoking man is. And Mulder was saying, you had me believe that you're my dad, and follow all these trails that led nowhere, and it sort of frustrated the smoking man, and he gave him a backhanded slap. You can see Mulder's face is sort of, his mouth is sort of spat out, sort of thing. I thought it was funny that it's finally had it with Mulder's attitude. I don't know, some people would sometimes find that with Mulder, I can't take it. I feel like doing that. Some people might actually have that feeling towards Mulder, but it's funny seeing that scene in the comic. And yeah, the smoking man, I don't know what his deal is. Is he like a clone, a robot? Because at one point he sort of freaks out a bit, and there was a scene where he's just rattling on about nothing, like he's like a crazy person, and his face starts looking really weird. So I don't know if he's like a zombie or zombie clone or something like that. Not really a zombie, maybe a resurrected parts of him. He seems to just go in circle with his weird, vague, cryptic speeches. So that's another interesting thing. Well, the other one that really confused me was the lone gunman. Apparently didn't die. I remember they died in the Lone Gunman series. They were trapped in a room, and I think they got gassed or something like that. I remember Mulder seeing their ghost as he was traveling down a highway, the Lone Gunman's ghost or something like that. So this was really confusing. So the three guys, they're hiding, they're working secretly, working for the government in their tech sort of surveillance division or computer crime hacking prevention division. It didn't really specify, and their deaths were just made up. Oh, that's a bit confusing. Like seeing Mulder seeing the ghost. Maybe I've forgotten completely, but I could have sworn I've seen that happening. And we get to see Skinner as well. He's come back and told them that there's been some sort of security breach at the FBI network. It's been compromised. But he said that those information were low level or low sensitivity documents. However, there was some sort of connection to the X-Files, and that includes some data about Scully's kid. So, yeah, I don't know how they can be low level security and have X-Files. Maybe they thought that the X-Files is low level and gave it the low level security rights or something. I don't know. It wasn't very clear. Yeah, there's some scene where Scully just definitely felt very, I think she looked quite hurt because she couldn't be with her child because she gave the child away, and in some way Mulder tried to comfort her, but it looked like he was helpless. He couldn't do much about it. Quite interesting. It was a very, very short scene. It's like a one-page thing. Eventually, I know I'm jumping all over the place here, but ultimately it seems like initially it looks like there is a splinter group within the alien that's trying to capture Scully and her baby. So my understanding is they're trying to capture her in order to try to get to her child. But there's a splinter group within that group, or one of them one of the aliens tried to help her, but it all turned out to be a ruse. It's not real. They were all just trying to pretend to. He was just pretending, I think, to try to lead her away or lead her towards the baby. It seems a bit confusing and somewhat convoluted, but that's just how it goes. And it wasn't too bad. Agent Doggett made a small appearance before he disappeared as well. There was he was investigating this, it looked like an oil pipe that went around a big park. And that oil pipe actually didn't contain any oil. It contained some sort of material, I think magnetite or something like that, which is what would stop the aliens, these particular set of aliens. It's weird. I don't quite get why it would be surrounding the park, but that's where, at the end of the story, big spoilers, that's where the UFO is, within the park, this massive park. So yeah, it does sound very confusing, but if you get into it, if you get the trade or the compilation of it, it makes a little bit more sense. But it's good to see these guys back again. Skinner, Agent Doggett, Agent Scully, and Mulder. I enjoy it for what it is. I'm not gonna give it any, I'm not gonna say, oh, this is worth out of this score out of this. It depends if you're an X-Files fans or not, and seeing the characters doing their thing again, which I like. Yeah, I enjoy it for what it is, and of course, it left a big mystery. Oh, some other things made an appearance as well from the show. The Smoking Man left an artifact, I suppose, from the series itself, which is the do you remember that needle or pneumatic? I don't know if it's pneumatic. It's some sort of needle type device that's used to kill certain aliens. If you remember that, I've forgotten the name now. Anyway, the Smoking Man left him that weapon to use against the alien. So there must be some sort of correlation between these new set of aliens and the ones that we know in the past. And these new aliens, they have some sort of psychic abilities as well to be able to knock people down, knock people back, and whatnot. So it's yeah, it's something a bit different. I like how Mulder just runs around in the middle of a snowy place. I think they said, yeah, it's actually in Yellowstone National Park. That's where the climax scene is. And it's, just looking at pictures, like the snow and things like that, it looked really cold, and he's just running around in his trench coat. That's what Scully's doing the same thing as well. A couple good twists in there. Oh, the other thing is the alien can also morph into other people, so it's got psychic abilities as well as morphing abilities. And and in the final comic for this particular arc, Mulder was confronted. He somehow ran into a alien Scully, the alien pretending to be Scully, and he was trying to kill the alien, but the alien wanted to kiss him. It sort of played to that fan service of the Mulder and Scully relationship, and it wasn't quite clear if they kissed each other or not. But he was about to stab the alien, but he dropped the needle. I thought, I don't know, maybe they did that out of, it's the whole fan service thing. Oh, once the alien gets killed as well, it turns into this green goop thing, which happened in the series for the alien. So I'm not quite sure if it's the needle that's causing them to be like that. I don't think there's any normal needle. That was used by the bounty hunter, if I'm not mistaken. And every time you used it on one of the aliens, they just sort of turn into green goop. So maybe there's similarities between these aliens and the new ones. Between these new ones, I think they're called acolytes, and the ones that we've seen on the TV show. And ultimately, near the end of the scene, near the end of the story, you see this UFO coming out, and Mulder was severely beaten by and he's just lost consciousness. And she's like, "You gotta see this." Apparently, the alien wanted them to look at something, but the way Scully's describing it is, it's something that humans can't quite recall. Maybe it's something that's beyond the human sense or something like that, or beyond the ability to recall whatever they wanted them to see. But she did see like a UFO. There's a picture UFO, and Mulder's he's KO'd, and she's like, "You gotta see this," and he misses out. I thought that was pretty funny. Like he's always wanted to see aliens and spaceships, but he didn't get to see it in this time. And he wakes up, he goes, "What are you looking at?" But I'm sure that in the series, I remember that once he looked up and there was an alien, or a few times actually. So it's this what was it? A military spaceship or something like that. It's actually reverse engineered spacecraft, but there was another time that it wasn't. And I think that was the episode with the vaccination one, wasn't it? The smallpox vaccination thing. They found all these bodies with smallpox scars or something like that. I vaguely remember that. I have that on VHS. Yes, those were the days. VHS. I feel really old. But yeah. What else was there that I thought was that I kind of like? Oh, how they start off each of the comics. It starts off with a cliffhanger, and then it throws in the title at the bottom, and it reminded me of how the shows used to do it. Like some of the shows, some of the episodes, and it does the 24 hours earlier after the title sequence, like, which is, they managed to do similar things throughout all 5 of these comics, the issues, I should say. They managed to end it with a cliffhanger as well in each of the comic. I kind of like that. I know it's not really original. I just thought it sort of works well for the comics. Yeah, so they've left it with a lot of questions like, what did Scully actually see, or what was she meant to see? Because the aliens sort of like kept saying something in the weird riddle, saying she was meant to see something, which is very strange. And what happened to Scully's baby? There's no indication on that. And the missing agents. There were a couple of agents sent to retrieve the Scully's baby from the adoptive parents, which was also somehow involved with the conspiracy, right? I think there were aliens as well. They just morphed into something else. And what happened to Agent Doggett? What about Smoking Man? Don't know what he is, because at the end of the last issue of this arc, he's seen like rattling on about something, and then someone in the background said something. What are you talking about? But you can't quite see the person, so he could be another character that we don't, which is just newly introduced for the comic itself, for the season 10 comic. So that's cool. What did he say? Oh, he asked him, "Who are you talking to?" And you can see Smoking Man. He's like freaking out. His face looked like a zombie. It's interesting. It seems like there's another person pulling the strings, and he looked like Smoking Man was in that final scene. He was in that. I don't know if you remember. There was a bunch of old guys from the war as well. I think they called themselves the Syndicate or something like that. I think he's in that same place, that same building, but there's no one else sitting around. He's in like a sort of a meeting room with a whole bunch of chairs and a big table, but there's no one in there beside this mysterious other person sitting at the end of the table, and you barely get to see him other than his glasses. So there's something more to it. Glad that they're building into something else with this mythology, and I do hope that the mythology really ties in properly, not overly convoluted and not going anywhere. So yeah, seems good so far. There's nothing else I can say. If there's any more, I'll add it into the future discussion or thoughts, podcast, whatever. Oh, and another thing that's not related to comic, I read on various sites that I think Fox or someone at Fox is interested in bringing X-Files back, and there was some, I think Gillian Anderson and David Duchovny, they were interested in coming back, but I'm not sure, because Gillian Anderson, she's got her own show already, I think called The Fall, and that's apparently doing quite well. I don't know. I mean, personally, maybe they can do a spin-off or have someone else, and these characters can come back and interact with them, like cameos. But I don't know. It just, some people think that there's quite a lot of baggage from the last time, and because of how things are connected or unconnected, or it's a bit of a mess to try to bring back X-Files. And I think Chris Carter tried to start a few series of his own. There was one called The After, which is like a End of Times type series, but there was only one episode, and I watched it. It was okay. It felt like one of the X-Files episodes, but on a very big scale. I mean, it's alright. They try to be edgy and everything like that. And I'm not much into the whole post-apocalyptic type stories, but that one sort of intrigued me, because you can't quite tell exactly what's happening, what caused the situation. I think it's been a while since I watched it, and I also heard Chris Carter wanted to bring a urban fantasy story or something like that, like a female protagonist. I don't know what happened to that. Maybe I've read that wrong. Maybe it was one of the other writers, Glenn Morgan. Maybe it's those two. I don't remember. There were two other writers for X-Files. Sorry, I've completely forgotten the names now. James Wong and Glenn Morgan, I believe. Maybe it's them that's trying to write that other story about the female protagonist, urban fantasy thing. Maybe it's just something else entirely. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know about bringing back the X-Files. Some people said that it's been done. It's called The Fringe. But The Fringe, to me, didn't really feel like what an X-File is, because for me, X-File is a combination of the mythology, UFO mythology, alien stuff, as well as the Monster of the Week things. You know, some people believe the Monster of the Week or the quirky episodes were the best, and not the alien mythology stuff. I sort of agree with that because as I mentioned, with the alien stuff, they didn't really connect things very well. You know, people had to sort of make up their own stories. I remember back in the days, they had this massive drawing of what's connected to what. People done all these drawings and what do they call it? Flow charts and whatnot. It was just crazy. It didn't really tie well together, maybe. So if they're gonna bring it back, I hope they have a very good forward plan, like what Straczynski did with Babylon 5. And Babylon 5, he did that in such a way that he had to make certain changes when the studio was cutting things down because of budget reasons and whatnot. And he had to make changes, and yet his stories still more or less connect with each other fairly well. Whereas X-Files, you know, they had, what was it, 9 seasons? I mean, really, if they're really gonna bring it back, they need to straighten out the story, have a long-term plan, or do a mini-series. Yeah, do a mini-series with possibility of future expansion, but with a standalone story. Maybe a 12-episode type thing. Maybe do an anthology. I don't know. I think if they really want to do it, they can do something like that. Maybe have different investigators in each season. They sort of did that in the old series when, you know, Duchovny went away and Gillian Anderson had to go away as well, and they brought in different actors to play as different agents. I didn't mind that actually all too much. And I like Doggett's character. If they did something like that, that's cool. And then you have sort of maybe Mulder and Scully come in once in a while talking about stuff, maybe work in shadows. I don't know. That's just sound a bit too cheesy. I don't know how they're gonna do it, but I'm of two minds about this. I like X-Files, but maybe through rose-tinted glasses type thing, because that was the only thing back in the day that I really got drawn into. Other than the Babylon 5, which one? Did they both start at about the same time? I've forgotten now. I don't have my computer near me. So I can't check it up. My apologies if I'm just making all sort of incorrect statements. But yeah, there was nothing else back then that was more or less comparable to X-Files. Maybe there were. I just don't remember them. It's just that X-Files made a big impact in my life. I don't know if they're going to be able to bring it back and compete with what's come after now. Many people go, "Oh, just watch Supernatural." I don't know. I mean, I've seen, I forgot how many seasons, maybe 4 or 5 seasons of it, and then I'm just like, I'm done with that. Hey, if you enjoy that series, that's fantastic. That's your thing. But for me, I need my mix of stuff. You know, the X-Files sort of had that. It had the whole government conspiracy stuff, but it had the monster stuff as well. It had the dynamics between the two characters, the believer and the skeptic, you know, analyst type analytical thing, or, you know, she had the belief. It had all that sort of thing, and it sort of came together despite all that flaw. It sort of came together, and the directing was quite good as well. Sure, there were quite a few really bad episodes, but it goes with anything, isn't it? Like, especially after running for so long, it's bound to have holes here and there. So again, I know I'm sounding like a broken record, which I normally do. I really hope they bring something back that is worthy of the X-File. The whole X-File, I don't know, intellectual property, is that what you call it? It would be nice to see it again, but I don't know if it'll work out or if it'll just be a cash-in. I think they should start off with a mini-series, maybe have Mulder Scully, but
I don't think so. They should have someone else. Maybe make reference to X-Files. Maybe call it something else. Funnily enough, I think I heard somewhere that people are trying to reboot Lost series again or bring it back. That's a bit too soon. For me, Fringe and Supernatural on their own is not enough. They need to have something else that is similar to the X-Files. If it looks just like X-Files, I don't mind if they sort of copy the same formula. I really don't mind. But they need to improve upon it. I know. I might be asking for way too much. Anyway, I've rattled on way longer than I should have. And I might read some more of the other issues after because this arc's finished. They've got some other one, and the next one they've got a picture of the well, I don't want to spoil it. You've probably seen it, so you will know for the next issue. But it's been running like there's, I don't know, 18 issues already. So I'm way behind, and I haven't been doing. I've been busy, been doing a lot of other things, and I want to read other comics and do my thoughts on other comics as well. Anyway, thanks for listening. Have a good one, everyone. See ya.